What's up, guys, and welcome to FadeMasterVideos.com. My name is Andre. Today I'll be teaching you guys how to do an afro with a taper on the sides and the back. First, you want to make sure you drape the client. Use the neck strips. I want to go over my clippers really quick. For the top, we're going to use the An Masters. These are set up to cut closer. From the store, they come kind of like this. I got them set up to cut like this, really close. In one of my other videos, I show how to open them and adjust them that way to cut closer. I use the wall seniors. I keep them the same way they come from the store. I don't mess with the blades. See how these, they cut not as close as the An Masters. I use this to do the fading. Using both of these helped me make my job a lot easier. Alright, I'll be talking more about that as I'm doing the haircut. And I have two sets of TL liners. One pair, I keep it the same way as they come from the store. The other one, I set them up to cut closer. In one of my other videos, I show you guys how to open them and adjust them that way. This one I use it more to do the beards and to do the shape ups, and this one's to line up the back of the neck and for little kids and babies. So let's get started. You want to use preferably a metal pick. The reason I use the blower is because it makes it easier when you're pulling the hair out. It comes out easier with the blower, especially if the client has the hair really tangled up. It'll come up easier and it won't hurt the client as much. See how with the blower, the pick comes out a lot easier, so it doesn't hurt the client. After you're done picking out all the hair, you want to use the An Masters all the way down. Put some oil. Let's get started. Keep in mind, you want it to look round, okay? Kind of like a microphone. Make sure you keep a steady hand. For this client, we won't be cutting a lot off, just about a 1/4 inch. Make sure you figure out with the client how much he wants off, if he only wants the tips off or if he wants to take off a 1/4 inch or a 1/2 inch. So make sure you figure that out first before you start cutting. When in doubt, do the middle section first without cutting that much hair off, and show the client the mirror to see if he likes it like that. Remember, you can always go shorter, but you can't ever put the hair back. Make sure to keep the client clean. You don't want to let his face get full of hair. That doesn't look professional. Now we're going to do the other side of the head. You want to do it by sections. Just follow this as your guide. The hair that you cut previously, use that as your guide and just follow it all the way down. Make sure you're relaxed. You want your hand to be steady when you do the afro, when you're cutting. You want it to go in this movement. To taper out the sides, first we're gonna use the Andy's T outliners. Notice how I'm bringing them out in a circular movement. This way is fading out the line already. Now I'm gonna use the Andy's Masters just under the first line, and I'm gonna do the same thing. Fade out in a circular movement to get rid of the line. Now I'm gonna use the number 1 on the Andy's Masters. On the guard, these are the Speedo guides, by the way, and they say number 00 on the guard. Now we're gonna use the wall seniors. We're gonna pass the high 0 first. This is high, this is low. Now we're gonna use the number 2. On the guard, it says number 0. These are the Speedo guides. And always remember, guys, when you're fading out, you gotta cut in a circular movement. Now we're going to use the number 1 with the wall seniors. This is the 1.5. We're setting it up on high. Now we set it up on low. The same steps you do on one side, you want to do the same steps on the other side. That is why it's so important that you know your steps. At all times, know what you're doing. Whether you take my steps or not, you always want to know exactly what step is coming next. Now we're going to do the right side. We're going to start with the Andy's T outliners. Same thing that we did on the left side. Now we're going to use the Andy's Masters. Just past the first line. Same way as we did on the left side. Remember to fade out in a circular movement. Now we're going to use the number 1 guard or number 00 as it says on the guard. I'm gonna use the wall seniors on high 0. I'm gonna pass it low. Now I'm gonna use the number 2 with the Andy's Masters, or like it says on the guard, the number 0. Remember to fade out in a circular motion. Now I'm going to use the number 1 with the wall seniors, set it up on high. For the back, we're going to use the T outliners that has the blades that haven't been adjusted, just the same way it came from the store. The reason I use these ones is because the other ones, these are set up to cut so close that it might be a little uncomfortable for the client on the neck. Now I'm gonna use the Andy's Masters right past the first line. And always remember, guys, as you're cutting, you want to fade out, alright, in a circular movement to start already making that shadow. Now I'm gonna use the wall seniors, the high 0. Now I'll set it up on low. Now I'm gonna use the number 2 of the Andes Masters. Remember on the guard it says number 0. Now I'm gonna use the number 1 with the wall seniors, set it up on high. Now I set it up on low. Now I'm gonna use the number 3 with the Andes Masters. It says number 08 on the guard, so you guys don't get confused. Now we're gonna go around the ear with the number 3. This is just to clean it out. Okay, we're just gonna barely go behind the ear.
Notice how here I am not passing the clippers completely touching the scalp. I am passing the clippers at a 45-degree angle.
Remember to always keep the client clean. So now we're gonna do the shape up.
Use the corner of the blade to make a nice arch.
See how I'm putting the ear down with one hand and I'm cutting with the other one. When you're doing the shape up, keep in mind not to push it back too far. Just keep it right where it starts growing. Now remember guys, when you're doing the shape up, keep the line right where the hair starts to grow. Don't push it back far, okay? Just keep it right where it's at. Unless the client asks you to push it back, then do it. But for the most part, just keep it right where the hair starts to grow. And like I say in my other videos, you want to stand behind the client to double check the shape up. Make sure it's straight. Now I'm gonna do the mustache. And the number 1, the Andes Masters. First, I'm gonna line up the top of his lip. We're gonna do the mustache.
To do the mustache, I'm using the edges that are not set to cut closer, the ones that I use on kids, because the ones that are set to cut closer, they might cut the client's lip because they're so sharp.
This is something that you want to do for your client. Whenever you see that they got some hairs sticking out of their nose or on the ears, just do that for them. It goes a long way, you know? And don't charge them for it, just as a service, as a courtesy. For his face, I'm using the T outliners that have the blade set up to cut closer. The reason I'm not using the blade is because his skin, it irritates when you use the blade. That's something else. You want to ask your client if he gets irritated if you use the blade. If they do, you want to use your clippers that you got set up to cut closer for that. This is how you hold the blade, by the way. The pinky here, 3 fingers here, the thumb here. Show you like this. can see it better. Alright, comb on the other hand. The comb, we use it to wipe off the shaving cream. Same thing for the mustache. Even if they get irritated when they use the blade on the face, for the mustache, they can take the blade and they won't get irritated. So you want to use the lips, the end of the lips, as your guide. For this client, he likes his mustache a little bit long, so we're gonna go a little bit past the lips, alright? We're gonna go a little bit past the end of the lip. See how I'm cutting like this towards me? This client in particular, he likes his mustache to be a little bit wide in the middle and then to come a little thinner at the ends. I'm gonna do the top one more time. Since I already picked out the hair, I don't gotta use the blower again. I'm gonna use the Andes Masters. Gotta put a little bit of oil on them. That way they'll cut better, so I don't miss any hairs. Put it on low 0. And we're gonna do the same thing we did at the beginning of the video, but this time we're just gonna cut the ends. We're not trying to cut half an inch again, alright? Also, I'm gonna do the front. I'll do the front, make sure there's no hair sticking out to the front too much. You want to stand like this on the side of the client. That way, you see the hair that you're cutting. We use what we cut previously as our guide. Double check your work, check for any hairs that might be still sticking up, and then you stand on the side to double check the back. Make sure it's nice and round. Now I'm gonna apply some oil sheen. Cover the client's eyes with a paper towel. Spray the aftershave using the air gun. The reason I use the air is because the aftershave doesn't sting as bad when using the air. So there you have it, guys. An afro with a taper on the sides and the back. For a lot more videos like this one, come check us out at FadeMasterVideos.com.